All right, let's start by removing the protective plate from the rear edge of the door near the top. 3 screws hold it in, and it might be a little bit sticky, but you can peel it away. Next, we'll remove this black strike plate from around the latch. This strike plate is what contacts the door pin and tells the car that the door is closed. If you're going to leave your door card off for a while, you might want to think about reinstalling this strike plate so the car doesn't keep the lights on and run your battery down. Now we'll just pry this trim piece from underneath the armrest straight down. There's one screw that secures the door card to the door. It's down in a little hole. The screw is hidden, so you may have to take some time and find it, but it uses a T30 screw. And once the screw is completely loose, it still might hide down in that little hole. And I'll use a magnet in a minute to go and fish that loose screw out. Okay, now I got it. So I'll use a pick to pry the top of the tweeter cover down and away from the door, and then the tweeter cover will just lift away. You can unplug the tweeter. On the back of the door card, there's 6 clips. These are just push pin expansion type clips, and you have to free those. Here's a close-up, and you'll notice there's a white part here. Uh, when you're trying to pry these out, try to pry on the white part. Don't pry on the yellow part, which is the actual door card itself. Let's fish that screw out now. Ah, there it is. Now we'll pry this little cover off the front edge of the door. And at this point, only the clips are securing the door. So I'm going to use a pry tool, and notice how I kind of feel my way underneath with my fingers to find where those clips are. And when I put my pry tool in, I try to keep it as close to those clips as possible. And in my case, most of the rest of them came loose pretty easily. Now you'll notice the door card on the bottom edge is floppy, but it's still pressed up against the door. It's not, there's not even a 1-inch gap between the door card and the door right now. And that gap is important when you're reassembling it. You want to make sure when you reassemble that the door panel is laying flush up against the door before you start pushing those clips in. Once you've got all the clips freed from the door, you can pull the bottom of the door card out away from the door and lift the entire door card up. It hooks onto the top of the door on the top edge of the door card, uh, and it can be a little bit sticky as well. Now I'm lifting it up, and you can see the top edge of the door card is going to free itself from the top edge of the door. And now I'm going to come around to the back side. I can reach down between the door card and the door now, and I can disconnect the steel cable for the door handle and the two electrical connections from the door module. At this point, after you've freed your door card, you should take a few moments and just look at the back and look at how it fits onto the door. There's a little black piece of plastic that fits into a square hole on the door. Pay special attention to that. It'll really help you when you're reassembling the door if you take a look at that, understand how it fits together. Now the speaker pod is held in place with 5 screws. There's also an electrical connector, which I'm unclipping here. There's a total of 5 screws here, and once you have all 5 of them loose, the speaker pod should just pull away from the door. The fifth screw here is hidden down in a hole right here. Now they're all good and loose. Pod just pulls away. So let's take the speaker out of the speaker pod. This orange part of the speaker is called the spider. The black part is called the basket. The black part with the little legs sticking out, or the kind of spokes on it, is the basket. Now there's some electrical connectors to this speaker, and after 20 years they're a little bit sticky as well. So you may have a hard time pulling these off, but keep at it. Let's try a different tool. Now, I'm not actually cutting these wires, I'm just using these cutting pliers to pry and lever the connectors off. All right, there's one. There's two. Those are just spade connectors. And now we can take a closer look at the speaker. Now notice the orange part, the spider, how it's pulled away from the basket around the perimeter, only on about half of it. That's good. If that goes all the way around, your speaker is trash. So what I did to repair this was I drilled a few holes in the areas where it was loose, just through the basket. And then I put super glue liberally between the spider and the basket. And then I put super glue down in each of these little holes, trying to make a mechanical seal. Um, I used some coat hanger wire. I cut 4 pieces of coat hanger wire, 5 inches long. I bent them into this shape. There's all 4 of them. And then I put the speaker on my drill press. The magnet, the permanent magnet in the speaker held it down, and I used rubber bands and those wire retainers to kind of pull up on the spider and let the glue set. You can see how the super glue kind of absorbed into and stained the spider here. The super glue was pretty viscous.